In 2024, I took over 1,000 sales calls with a close rate of roughly 50%. Now, this led to over $300,000 in cash collected for our online info business, which grew to $1.2 million in revenue last year. I took between 10 and 16 calls every single day for months, talked to a range of different prospects, and faced pretty much every objection there is. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can structure your sales calls to skyrocket your close rate, how to face the common objections that come up on these calls, but before all that, how to start booking more calls onto your calendar so you can start putting the reps in. Let's get straight into it. So before you can start closing more calls, you actually have to start booking more calls. So in this section, I'm just going to show you quickly how I would book more calls. And there's two funnels here, right? So I'm going to dive into the value call funnel first, which a value call is like a sales call, but it's not outward facing as a sales call. So you're not telling people, hey, book this sales call. It's book a value call to achieve X outcome, desired outcome, something that they want to get out of a call. And then at the end of that, you kind of pitch them into your stuff. So this is the value call funnel, and this is how you get leads. So content, outreach, lead magnet, value call. So we'll talk about lead magnets a little bit more in a moment as well. So first way to do it is to generate leads is to just make content, whether that's through YouTube, whether that's through Instagram, LinkedIn, X, any of these platforms, right? You can make content and get views. Super simple. Now, I've also put outreach here, and that's simply just to reach out to people who are a potential fit to tell them you have a lead magnet. And I'll talk about lead magnets, like I said, in a second. And these two kind of tie together, in my opinion. For example, Instagram. Say you make an Instagram reel, you get a few hundred views, you get 2 comments, you get 10 likes. I personally would reach out to these 10 likes and these 2 comments saying, hey, thanks for the support on my video. I have this thing. It's free. Check it out. And that's obviously where we'll come into lead magnets. So in terms of a value call funnel, make content is the way to generate leads. So make YouTube videos, make Instagram reels, make posts, and then I would engage as like a double bonus tip, engage with and reach out to the people that have engaged with your initial content, telling them about your lead magnet, and then the lead magnet is going to lead them to a value call, which I will talk about in just a second. The second way is just a traditional sales calls funnel. Now, the caveat with this one is that you need some trust before they book a sales call, because a sales call is quite literally, hey, we're going to show you something that costs money. If you're interested, join the call and we'll show it you and you can buy. So whereas with the previous slide, the value call, it's like, hey, book a call, we'll show you how to do this, or we'll give you a roadmap on how to achieve X outcome. Let's use an example. Let's say we're on the topic of social media. Let's say I have a program or something, a service that helps you grow your Instagram, right? So I would make content around growing Instagram. Hey, 3 tips for how to make hooks. Here's 10 viral hooks. Here's 3 tips to grow your Instagram, whatever, right? How to engage with other people's Instagrams to grow yours. Whatever the content is, I would then reach out to those people with messages saying, hey, thanks for the support, man. Super appreciate it. Tell me more about what your goals are with Instagram and what you're currently struggling with, etc. Then I'll be like, oh, I have a thing. I have 100 hooks, viral hook template, lead magnet. Again, I'll talk about this later, but lead magnet. And then from there, the lead magnet can be like, and if you do want more help with this, I do a completely free Instagram profile audit where we'll jump on a quick 15, 20 minute, 30-minute meeting. I will review your Instagram and give you some quick tips. Sound good? And that's a value call. Now, obviously, we'll get into that being a sales call later, where you kind of transition from this, hey, here's the tips and here's the value that I promised you, but also I do this thing, you should buy it. Cool. All right, sales call funnel. Like I said, this is more salesy. So it's the same concept. Generating leads is the same concept. You make content, you do outreach, you say, hey, here's a lead magnet, here's a thing that can help you, build trust, provide a bit of value up front, right? Then we drive them to a VSL, so a video sales letter. And the thing with a sales call funnel is that you can qualify way easier. So there may be some people who don't have purchasing power, who genuinely just don't have time to go through your program or are not interested in paying for a program. It's way more time effective to get rid of those people earlier on without you jumping on a call within the first 5 minutes, realizing they're not an ideal client for you. So we have it here, a VSL, and I can show you an example actually of our VSL funnel just to kind of drive the point home. We just have this simple page a course where we literally give a bit of a training, a bit of a case study, and we have a little bit of a pitch here as well, explaining who we are, what we've done, build some trust, but also that we have a paid thing. And if you're interested in joining or getting help from us, then you can book a call. Again, a lot more friction on this side, and we'll talk about the friction scale just in a second. So let's go back to the slide. This leads to qualification, right? And we can go even further with this. So the VSL will already put a bunch of people off. Like, oh, it's a sales thing. Nah, not joining. Cool. That's what you want, right? Qualification even further. You can, let's say we clicked let's talk. This leads us to a Calendly page. You can now add questions. So we go super deep into this, of course, but you can be way more chilled. Like we ask, do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have a course already? What is your current full-time business? But then here come the real qualifying ones. What's your current monthly income? This is how much our course costs. Are you in? Would you have the capital to invest if it was a good fit? How confident are you from what you've seen so far that we would be a good fit together? Like we ask so many questions because we have so many leads. A general rule of thumb, and I think I'm going to talk about it on the next slide for the friction scale, is if you don't have any calls booked, decrease the friction. And if you have a bunch of calls with unqualified people, increase the friction. So you speak to more people and you make better use of your time. Speak to more people who are qualified even. So this is just the friction scale that I made. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? The lower the friction, wait, this is wrong. So this is the friction scale. And honestly, it's pretty self-explanatory, but the less friction you have, the more calls you'll get. And the more friction, obviously, you'll get less calls, but they'll be way higher quality and way more likely to close, right? Especially if you do what I just showed you in terms of the questions, asking them how much they have to invest, how confident are they, etc. Right? Cool. So when to do this? Increase friction when you have too many calls. So if you have a full calendar, you don't have any closes, and your calendar's just blowing up, increase friction because it will increase close rate. Cool. When you have unqualified calls, so when people are just not qualified for your thing and you're just wasting time on these calls, then you can increase the friction to make better use of your time. Again, call volume will go down, but call quality will go up. And if you're selling a high ticket thing, if something's super expensive, it increases the likelihood that someone isn't qualified, right? Because it's expensive. So adding a VSL, adding some questions around their current situation will be it'll be a better funnel because it'll best use your time. You won't be speaking to 10 people a day that have no money, right? So increasing friction is great. Decreasing friction is also great, especially when you're just getting started. That's another caveat I'll add here. If you're just getting started with sales, with your service, your product, whatever it is, take every call, understand who's jumping on the call, your audience, who you're attracting with your content. And if they're all unqualified, then maybe that's telling you something around your content and your messaging. And then you can start to increase the friction when you've spoke to a bunch of people. Hopefully that all makes sense. Nice. How to increase friction? I kind of already touched on this. So yeah, VSL. Add a VSL like I just showed you. Add a 10-minute video, a 5-minute video explaining what it is you do, your course, how you help people. Not necessarily your course, I'm just talking about from our perspective, but whatever you do, explain it and show some testimonials and just be a bit pitchy. And then obviously qualifying questions. This is super obvious, right? Just add questions that qualify them and see if they're a good fit for your thing, right? Whether that's purchasing power, whether that's time commitment, anything like that. Cool. We touched briefly on lead magnets, and I'm just going to touch on this again. Lead magnets are amazing. Yeah, lead magnets in terms of just basically let me start cut that again. Lead magnets are just amazing. It's a great way to build trust, to get leads information, right? So it's like, hey, here's a free thing. Put your email in, put your phone number in, put your name in. And then from there, you have a lead. And from that lead, you can then call them or text them or email them, right? Again, great way to capture leads, great way to build some trust and provide some value. That's another thing I didn't really write here. Provide value. So you're able to build trust by providing value, by giving away something that's really good. Again, Hormozy talks about this. If you give away something people are used to paying for, that's the definition of a great lead magnet. Types of lead magnets, PDFs, guides, ebooks. We've all seen those before, right? Where it's like, hey, join my get access to my guide on how to do X, get access to my free ebook, get access to my PDF on whatever it is that you do. They're great. They're fine. Another great way to capture leads. You just have a landing page with the information and then you email it to them afterwards. And now you have a bunch of leads. Nice. Community lead magnets over all lead magnets. What I mean by that? Well, this is something we do. So obviously I'm biased. But in terms of what community lead magnets means, it's instead of saying, hey, here's 100 viral hooks for your Instagram, it's, hey, I have a free community where I teach you how to do insert offer, X outcome, right? Join, it's free, and be part of a group of people who are all doing the same thing. Benefits for this, I mean, again, it's obvious, but in terms of it, you get all of the people in one place. You have a community of people. It's like an email list on steroids. You can then post in that community. You can do calls in that community. You can send emails to that community. You increase the likelihood that they stick with it because they're also meeting other people or speaking to other people or networking with other people who are interested in doing the same stuff. So that's my recommendation. If you can create a community, obviously I'm biased, we do it at course, but that's what I found to be a 10x better lead magnet than just sending someone a PDF, because that's kind of been done a million times. Right, cool. This isn't pretty, but we're going to talk about call structure now. So we've talked about how to book more calls using 2 different funnels, right? When you're just getting started, do a value call, speak to your audience, understand what they're there, what their pain points are, what their goals are, so you can better improve your service or product. That's another thing that's a bonus. Or if you have so much lead flow and you just want to make sales, and there's a high chance that most people in your industry are unqualified or don't have purchasing power if you're high ticket, then do a sales call funnel, add some friction, some VSLs, some questions, etc. Another bonus tip there is that you can also just reach out to the person before the call and qualify them using like a phone number, right? So if you collect the lead's information, they book a call, then you can be like, hey, John, just calling to ask a couple questions about our call, super excited, blah, blah, blah. And you can qualify them on that phone call. And if they don't qualify, it's like, dude, love where you're at. Honestly, these calls are for people who are in X position. You sound to me like you're not quite ready to commit yet. What I'd recommend is going and checking out this free resource we have. It's great. And then you can book on again when you're ready. Super chill. Cool. Let's talk about call structure and sales in general. I'm going to fly through this because I'll probably do a detailed video on this later down the line, but let's properly break it down in terms of how to conduct the sales calls once you start booking more. So report, discovery, value, pitch, close, objection handle. Let's break it down. Rapport, right? I can't tell you how to be charismatic or build rapport, but some quick tips is have energy, be happy, be excited that they're on the call. Some obvious go-tos are, dude, where are you calling from? I saw your phone number. Or even you can play around with this, but like, hey, where are you calling from? Is the obvious one. But also you can say, if you check out their application on Calendly or whatever booking software you use, you'll normally see their phone number, which has a country code, which means you actually do know where they're from if you do a little bit of research before the call. So you can say, hey, saw you're from the Netherlands, dude. I love it. I've been there. That's like 3 hours ahead of me, right? So thanks for taking the call this late. Thanks for taking the call this early. Like, you can play around with it a lot. So those are great ways just to kind of instantly break the ice. That's the whole point of this, right? You don't want to spend too long in the rapport stage. You definitely don't want to start asking them about their wife and kids and everything, right? And just having a full-on 10-minute conversation. You can also leverage the background. Dude, nice setup. I love the setup. It's so cool. I had one the other day, which was like, they had these like black paneling. I was like, mate, that background is sick. Like, I've been looking for that black paneling and considering it. Like, would you recommend it? Instantly into rapport. The dude's like, oh yeah, 100%. Really, really good. Nice. And then also one more tip. Let's do one more. You've got their application. So if you're struggling to just get into the conversation and there's a bit of friction at the start, John, Alex, I was just reading through what you left before the call. Really helpful, by the way. I just saw that you're currently doing this and that you're looking to get this. That sounds awesome, man. Like, appreciate you jumping on. I'm excited for it. Cool. Then I kind of like, they feel, oh, this guy's kind of read through my thing, done a bit of research, and you get straight into the conversation. Again, I can't tell you how to be charismatic, but you'll get there. Nice. Discovery. This is so important in terms of how the sales calls go, because you want to figure out why they're on the call, because no one just books a call to just find out more information. They're experiencing some pain, and they have a dream or they have a goal, and they're booking a call to see if you'd be a potential fit for that. So it's your job as the sales rep to figure out, well, one, where's that pain coming from? What is it they've done to try and fix it? How long has it been a problem? And just what motivated them to jump on with you guys to kind of see if they would fix the problem. Even if they just say, hey, I'm just here for more information, all of that. Cool. And you can use this information to loop back. So this is important. Like, write down, have a notebook, use this information to loop back when you're pitching, because I'll get into this in the pitch section, but so many sales reps just go through and pitch everything. And you can talk yourself out of a sale by just pitching everything that you have. But if you can say, let's give some examples, right? What motivated you? What's the goal? What have you tried before? Why didn't it work? So say, let's go through that. Hey, what have you tried before to fix this problem of, no, we're just going to keep using the same example. What have you used before? What have you tried before to fix this Instagram problem? You've been trying to grow it for 6 months now, you said, right? Yeah, well, I joined Instagram Accelerator. Sorry if that's a real thing. I'm not throwing shade. Let's made it up. But yeah, what have you tried before? Instagram Accelerator. Okay, cool. And how did that go? Oh, it was okay, but to be honest, they didn't really deliver the support that I needed. And I just kind of was like, felt like I was left by myself to figure it out. Boom, write that down. You know what I mean? So when you go to the pitch, you can then highlight what you do have in terms of support, and then you can loop it back. So again, I'm going to get into this in the pitch, but I'm getting into it now, so who cares? So it's like, oh, John, and also I remember you mentioning earlier, Instagram Accelerator, you had some issues with support. We've had that feedback before from other businesses and courses and services. That's why we kind of structured ours in a way where you can jump on every single day and get help, blah, 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 right? Whatever it is you do. Cool. Why is now the right time? How is this having this problem affecting other areas of your life? This is uncomfortable stuff. It can be, but you really want to kind of create that gap of like, hey, they might not realize how much of a problem this is. And they may just say, hey, I had this goal, but they haven't really thought about it enough. So again, it is your job to kind of build that gap, dig the pain, as people call it, right? Like, how long has this been an issue? And like, you said you want to be financially free, like you want to travel, like you've been doing this for a year now, right? Is like, how is this affecting your life? How's this affecting your job? Like, etc. How relationships? You can get into all of this stuff. Again, you don't have to be super salesy on this. It's up to you. But if you come from a place of genuinely trying to help, then it's absolutely fine. And yeah, the goal, dig the pain. These are just some examples. There's hundreds more discovery questions that we can get into. And maybe I'll do a full video on that if people are interested. Nice. That's discovery. Really important. Have a notebook, write it down. Value. This one's simple. If it's a value call, not a sales call, like if you're doing sales calls, ignore this bit. I'm going to make it super quick. But if you're like I talked about at the start with the value funnel, deliver on that, right? So give them the value that they're there for. Do the Instagram audit. Check out their page. Like, say, hey, this is what I would do. I would change this, this, and this. It looks like you have potential here. People get stuck on this. I do coaching calls every week inside a course. And this is really a problem that people have, is struggling to move from value to sale. So I can touch on it a bit here. But if it's a value full promise, give them the promised value, build some trust, right? And this is really good. I actually had a sales call last night where the guy was like, I'm not really interested in buying right now. But I wasn't interested in buying right now, but you actually just provided a bunch of value, and that gives me confidence that I can actually get some results with this thing, like straight away. And I was like, boom. So it was like, that was a sales call, but I still gave a little bit of value. So there's definitely merit to giving value, but it's a fine line, right? Because if you give too much value, the person's like, the prospect, the person, whatever, is like, cool, thanks. I'm going to go do that, and I'll catch you later. You know what I mean? So I've had it 100 times where I've given too much. I've given them too many action items, steps, that when you do show them the paid thing, it's like, whoa, just slow down. I'm going to go take these action items that you've given me, then I'll join the paid. So again, you can play around with this. You want to give the value that you promised, but you also want to show when you're doing that where the improvements can be made. And then when you do the pitch, you can kind of show how you can help them get the results faster or from the action items that you just said. So if you set action items in the pitch, you can then show how getting your help will expedite the process of achieving the goals from the action items, if that makes sense. Cool. So give the value is my point. And then, but don't give too much. And the only way to figure out how to do that is to do it. Right, pitch. Use the information from discovery to pitch what's needed. Yeah, don't pitch everything. I'm just going to keep using our example, but if you sell services, it's fine. Don't pitch like, hey, and we have these bonuses. If you stay in the group for 6 months, you get access to a helicopter ride with Trump. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, don't pitch everything. Don't sell everything that they will get. Leverage what they just told you about the pain points. So for example, if they're like, hey, yeah, I just don't have much time in my day, don't show them the 20 hours of material you have in the course. Say, hey, we have all of this, but just from speaking to you, I just don't feel like you're going to have time to go through this in the next 30 days. So it's there for you to kind of slowly go through at your own pace. But why I think now's the perfect time for you to jump into our paid stuff or into our program or into our service is that we actually have these calls, or we have this bonus, or we have this support where if you only have 2 hours a day, that's super high leverage rather than just watching more material, and will actually help you with your specific situation, blah, 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 right? Obviously, you can pitch your thing. So use what they told you in Discovery to pitch what's necessary, and then assume the close when possible. So this is super cool as well. Again, when going through I'm going to use a program as an example, but even a service. Hey, by the way, like, does this all make sense? Like, you see yourself using this? Just get the yes. Oh, I see myself using this for sure. Cool. And by the way, the time zones on this, like, you're cool with like 4 p.m. UK time, right? Like that would work for you if and when you needed help. Yes, cool, nice. And if it's obviously a no, handle that. So assume the close, assume the yes, and talk as if they are joining the program with you. That's something I found to be a real big help in the pitch as well. Finally, close. I'm just going to give, there's so many closes I could give, but this video would go on forever. Let's talk about just one thing. Let's talk about two things. I've written it down here. First thing is kind of like I just mentioned in the pitch, but at the end, be like, right, cool. John, out of what I just showed you, what specifically do you think is going to be the most valuable part for you right now? And then they're going to sell themselves. Miles, I really think the course is great, but like I said, I don't have much time. So just jumping on calls with you guys every single day, every single week, whatever, it's gonna help. That's gonna be the thing. And I'm like, bro, 100%, I agree. So you can kind of get themselves to sell what you just showed them back to themselves, and then just go in, cool, you're ready to rock and roll, let's get you set up. Next steps are book you onto an onboarding call, like, right? Another thing, if you're struggling to close, is just give them a reason to buy. And you can be really like transparent about this, by the way. Like, there's definitely a bad name for like incentive-based pricing. So it's like, hey, and yeah, we always get the best results for the people who make fast decisions. So if you were to join with me right now on this call, you would get $2,000 knocked off, or you get it for half price or whatever. That's just, I don't like it too much. But what I do like is, hey, and if you were to join with me right now, you get access to insert bonus. You get a onboarding call. You get a one-on-one support account manager. You get tech support with John, who's amazing. You get some extra PDF course bonus cohort. You can play around with it. I'm obviously talking from our perspective. If you're a service, you get a free this, you get a free that, a bonus, right? And then it's like, that's kind of the same thing as incentive-based pricing. Well, you can just be like, and look, honestly, the reason we do this is because I can even show you my calendar. We do like 15 of these a day. And if I were to follow up with everyone that said I need to think about it, I'd lose my mind. So we basically give you guys a reason. I know it's a bit salesy. If you it's a great fit for you. We just give this bonus for the people who are serious to jump in and try it out. As mentioned, it's 7 days risk-free. So if you don't like it, you can get your money back. But at least joining with me now, you get access to this bonus. Does that sound fair? Boom. That's a close. And that helped me get like a 70% close rate in like the last few months of last year. By just offering this bonus that's only available on the call, and then just telling them why you do it, because that's true. Like if I had to follow up with everyone that said I'll think about it, like half my day would be follow-ups. Cool. Objection handling. All right, let's talk about this real quick. Objection handling. Most objections are smoke screens. That's so true. I need to think about it. I need to speak to my wife. Well, speak to my wife isn't necessarily. I need to think about it. I don't make decisions on the call. I just need more time. I'll sleep on it. These are all like not actually objections. They're just not telling you what the real one is. So find the real objections. That's the goal. And like you can play around. I'm not going to give you all the objection handles in the world here. I'll just give the one that I like the most. One way to do it is like if you have a lot of rapport with the person, you can just kind of be like, John, what's really holding you back? What's the main concern? Come on, work with me. Because I think this is perfect. So help me understand. And that's another thing with sales. Like if they believe that you're more invested, it's what's the saying? It's like the person who cares most about the prospect wins the sale. So if you genuinely believe in what you're selling, your service, your product, your course, your whatever software, then it's like a moral obligation to get them to buy. If you believe it will get them results, right? And if you don't believe it will get them results, don't sell them. So yeah, it's like I'm just trying to understand. So always seek to understand, not to combat. Like, look, I completely get you need to think about it. For me, just so I better understand, like what's really holding you back. That's one way of getting into it. Second way is a bit more tactical, and that is to push and pull. So it's like, hey, Miles, really need to think about this. Thanks for the presentation. Alex, no problem. No problem whatsoever. You go where you think about it. Look, here's what I can do for you. I know I just went over everything super quick. Why don't I put everything I just talked about, or put some things I just talked about in an email for you? I can shoot that over to your email real quick. And then when you go where you have everything in front of you, so you can kind of, think about it and make a decision. That sound good? They're going to love that because you're like letting them off the hook kind of, right? So it's like you're letting them, I call it push pull. There's probably a proper name for it. You're kind of pushing them away. It's like, no big deal. You go, you think about it. I'll email you. And they think they're getting let off and they're super happy. So that's what kind of lets their guard down for this second punch, which is, what is it specifically, mate, that you weren't really too sure about, or you just had some concerns about this working for you, that I could kind of put out in the email so you can kind of go over in more detail when I shoot that over. And then they're like, yeah, so honestly, it was just the price. Honestly, it was just this, blah, blah, blah. Like, honestly, it was just the time zones. And they'll tell you the real thing. And from there, obviously, you don't just send them an email. You're like, bro, my bad. Yeah, I flew through it. It was completely on me. I didn't explain it well enough. Let me just share my screen again real quick, and I'll just walk you through that. And then you just go back in for the close. Another quote I love is, the person who closes the most is the person who can ask for the sale the most times while staying in rapport with someone, right? So it's obvious that the more times you ask, the more times they say yes. But like if you ask 10 times and they've just said no, punch, they're going to get really annoyed and lose rapport and get pissed off. So it's who can ask for it's asking for the sale the most times while maintaining rapport. That's what really sales is all about, or closing is all about. Next steps. Let's finally talk about this. It's always good in a business, whether that's service-based, software-based, course-based like ours, to pass the baton, right? So they know the next steps. So you reinforce the buying decision. Most refunds come 24 hours after purchasing something, right? Because they get that buyer's remorse. So if you're able to close a deal and then at the end of the call, just be like, right, here's your next steps. We're going to book you on with John. John's the best. You're going to love him. He's going to walk you through X, Y, Z. And then from there, if you ever need any help, you can reach out, blah, 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 right? Yeah, so just pass the baton. Some next steps. Doesn't have to be a call with John. Can be, hey, we do a group onboarding. Hey, check out this material. This is going to walk you through your next steps so you know exactly what to do next. And if you do need any help, let us know. Anything like that, just reinforcing the buying decision, giving them some next steps, and passing the baton on to customer success or support or whoever they'll be speaking to next. Nice. Cool. That's the video. So we covered how to book more calls, how to use lead magnets, what kind of funnel you want to use depending on your current situation, if you have a lot of leads, if you don't have any leads, how to actually structure the sales calls in terms of structure, but then also how to go through the process, right? So like building rapport, discovery, finding out what their pain points are, giving some value if that's what you promised, pitching your stuff, but not too much, and just pitching what's necessary, closing them, right? Selling themselves back, and then finally objection handling by one, just being real with them and caring about them, and two, letting them go and then pulling them back in, finding out the real objection. And then obviously at the end, you pass the baton to the next step, and that will reduce refunds. Sick. All right, I'm going to make more videos on this. Let me know what you want, and we'll see you in the next one.